So, how do you do an episode where the Bad Batch doesn't really face any Imperials, bounty hunters, or just some other crazy evil group? You put them on an island and you have a tsunami. Oh man. How's everyone doing today, guys? My name is Steve Owens, and this is the Bad Batch. This is season 2, episode 13 of the season. Pabu, which is, man, that sounds so familiar. I can't put my finger on it. It's probably gonna hit me like in like the next hour of the day or day. It's gonna hit me, and I'm gonna be like, oh my god, that's why it sounds so familiar. But as far as I know, this is a brand new like planet, new world that we're being introduced to in the Bad Batch, and we're introduced to it through Phee, who is with the Bad Batch because they decided to do a job with her, and it makes sense. They kind of, after how things kind of were with Sid, they decided to do a job with V, and then even Sid sends a transmission being like, I heard back from you in 20 rotations, you guys either be dead, and it's like, you don't want to cross me, and I'm like, okay, that's dangerous. That is dangerous. And even V kind of points it out as being like, so what exactly is your plan as they travel through hyperspace? And Hunter is just like, you're kind of looking at it. It's like, just leave Sid and never come back. Like, I don't know if you want to do that. But, no, I think it's a very chill episode. Like, even the intense parts of this episode are, like, they're intense, but when you think of, like, the overarching story, they're not too intense. But at the same time, what happens in this episode is still intense for the people that are a part of it. But, let's see, but let's start with how the episode kicks off. It's just, honestly, I feel like this episode kicks off as, like, just showing where the team is at, not just, like, for, like, this season, but I feel like for the series as a whole. Like, the first episode of this season was like, they're on a planet, they're doing a job, things are going wrong, they have to go, we get to see how Omega is. Here, we literally have a deal going on. V and Omega are sitting together. They're trying to get this, like, jade, I want to say it's like a jade bonsai statue. I want to say that's what it is. But, deal, of course, goes sideways. You know, V is, like, looking at her drink, and she's like, poison's not usually my thing. And then the dealer, activates a button, and you get the little centipede thing from Attack of the Clones that nearly killed Padme. And then Hunter just is sitting off to the side. He's playing poker, and then he just throws his knife at the centipede. And then Wrecker shows up when they say you should have brought more muscle. And then Wrecker's just like, oh, they did. I feel like, and then shootout breaks out, and Omega gets a few good kills with her bow, one of which was she just shoots this bell that's hanging over the table and just crushes the dealer. I'm thinking back to Ernesto de la Cruz and Coco. I know there's like other scenes where a bell falls on top of one, but I always think back to Coco because that's kind of the first time I've seen that kind of kill. Just bell drops on them. But Tack is outside with the ship. They get picked up. They take the statue and the money that they were going to sell the statue for. But I really just felt like this is just showing where the team is at, and just like, they're doing pretty good. They're gone a little bit of a way, and it's like, you get to see their training. So what's going to happen now? And then when Sid sent the transmission, kind of like threatening them a little bit, you know, just being like, I know you guys, I know, you know, our history together. It's like, I'm like thinking, like, did she put something on the ship? Like, is she gonna track them? Like, is she just giving him like a 21 rotation window, and then if doesn't happen, then she'll like track him down? And then like, that's what I originally thought. I'm like thinking, like, wherever they're gonna go, Sid's probably gonna find them and be like, okay, boys, you are coming with me, or something like that. But no, instead, V, you know, she's like, so your plan right now, from you know, staying out of Sid, you know, just staying away from Sid, is just going, and it's just like, yeah. So V then takes him to Pabu, which is this nice, man, just really nice land. And just it's this basically it's this planet, it's like a water planet, and there's an island. It looks really cool. It looks like something from Greece, honestly. Like, it looks like that was my first thought. Just like the buildings, the kind of like the wall like on the side of like look like a mountain a little bit. This lonely mountain in the middle of the ocean. Of course, my first thought of like, is this gonna be a volcano? Like, I felt like I knew when they got to this island that one or two things was gonna happen. One, something was gonna show up to cause havoc, or two, something was going to happen on the island to cause havoc, and that's kind of what happened. The latter happens. Something on the island happens, but V, she comes in, she's showing the team around, she's kind of semi-flirting with Tech. Like, the way, like, she and Tech kind of work off each other in this episode, you can see kind of, like, the signs there, just being like, are they gonna be a thing? Like, first episode of the season was, V just, like, looking at Tech and being like, oh, it's just, like... And even here, she still calls him Brown Eyes, so it's funny how they have that dynamic. Like, yeah, I love how even Tech, at one point, like, V's like, you gotta teach her some other skills outside of, and like Tech's like so defensive is like, what are the skills? Like, and it's so funny, like, even like V just being like, well, she needs a friend outside of like her genetic makeup and stuff, and it's just like Tech is like, we didn't have that, so, and it's just like, oh yeah, obviously. But Pabu is just, yeah, it's just this nice little island in the middle of the ocean. It looks breathtaking, just mainly because the animation is so good. And I even love V's, I want to say either friend or brother, Shep Hazard, which, again, his last name is Hazard. Something is gonna go wrong. And he has a daughter, Liana, who is, of course, like Omega's age, and I liked how the two just immediately kind of like hit it off. Like, they're really just nice little friend group that they got, and just, they don't really give much in terms of like a story. Like, I mean, the most story we got, I think, was Liana asking Omega, like, where was her original home, Camino, why did she leave the Empire? Because this island is mainly of refugees, which I found really interesting. But of course, Hunter's like, is the Empire ever gonna show up here? And then she's like, well, they don't really have a reason to show up, but if they do, I think we'll be fine. And I'm like, I don't think you want to say that about the Empire. But again, it's this nice little island, and like V pretty much just took them to this island because, one, it's her home away from home, so it's kind of like another home for her. Two, that's where they were taking the relic because this is where they're kind of like this culture that, like, literally the statue of the tree is at the tree, or the statue of this tree is on this island. Like, you literally, like, they land, and at the top of this island is a tree of it, and it's like such a nice, it looks so majestic. But basically, V just shows them this place because it's like, this is a nice place to kind of lay low and take it easy. Just maybe you can finally settle down and just have fun here. You don't have to continue being this group. You can just running missions. You can just be here. And I'm like, yeah, when's the bad part gonna come? Like, that's like the one thing with the show, with shows like this, where you get the nice area. Like, Mandalorian did this. Like, Mandalorian did this with season 1. Din and Grogu find this nice little village, and they find a nice woman and a child, and there's like a bunch of kids. It's night, and all they had to do was fight off these raiders that always attacked, and they did that, and it's like, everything was fine until a bounty hunter showed up and tried to kill Grogu. So I'm like thinking, okay, what's gonna happen here? I was thinking like a few things might have happened. One, I thought, yeah, Empire was gonna show up and cause some havoc. 2, Sid was gonna send some men because she put a tracker on their ship because she didn't trust them from the start or something. 3, something else. I don't know. Again, 3 is what happened. They're at dinner, and I love, 1, it's like mainly sushi, which I love that. I love that little just seeing that, it looks so good. And I love Wrecker, just he said he gets full in this episode, which is great. And I love, like, he's like, I'm full, I'm never full. And then Tech's like, I will jot down the date for this momentous like when something like that happens, like that's what Tech has to put down, is like, okay, I gotta remember this date. And then, like I said, like the way him and V work off each other is like a very interesting duo. I mean, we had cut in season 1 of Bad Batch and in Clone Wars, you know, kind of like having this family. So I found it odd, though. I'm like, maybe a little bit more interaction with them will give me a little, because that's the only thing I like. We kind of get thrown into like these vibes with these characters. Like we get this vibe with V. Like again, we kind of started with V and Tech kind of working with each other, and then we had the episode where they're on this desert planet with the giant walker tower tall neck thing, and now we got this. But I don't know. I guess this was just the first episode where I'm like thinking, okay then. But okay, going back to what I was saying about this cataclysmic event that's gonna cause everything to be like, oh boy. It starts with an earthquake while Omega and Liana are out on a boat, and I'm like, oh no. And then they said like it's gonna be like basically a gigantic tsunami, and it's just like it's so sudden. You're just like, oh no, like. Even like you hear the alarm goes off, and they're like, we gotta get everyone from the lower part of Pabu to the upper part, because that's kind of what Pabu is. It's like you got this top half of this island where you got this grand wall, you got this really well built tower. It just looks, the architecture on it is just so cool. And it's like, then you have the lower parts where they're like, well, the water was receding, so we decided to move down, start building downward. But then, of course, the water starts receding, and you get nothing. Like it literally dries up. You literally get the surface of the ocean, and you're like, oh no, or no, not the surface, on the bottom of it. You literally get the bottom, and you're like, oh boy, this is not gonna go well. Like Omega and Liana are on a boat. They have to jump off the boat. They land on the ground, and this off in the distance, you just see the gigantic wave, like it's the day after tomorrow, and you're like, oh boy. They start running, and it's so intense. But of course, at the same time, because it's an episode in the Bad Batch, and they're not going to go too crazy with what the direction of the story, they're going to get out of it somehow. And that's exactly what happens. Hunter comes in, he swoops in on the ship, picks them both up, they escape the tidal wave. The evacuation of the city goes well. Even when Wrecker has to carry this old man up a ladder, he literally just old man's piggyback riding on Wrecker, and he's just climbing. It's just fine. Even the uncle brother, the sheep hazard, he's fine. But it's just such an intense sequence. Everything, it's animated phenomenally. That's probably the biggest takeaway for me. It's just like, again, the animation in this show is great. And as far as I can tell, this is not, technically speaking, there were some a lot of darkness in this episode with being at night, but it was at dusk, so there kind of was a little bit of a lighting thing, and I'm sorry, I'm just glad that there wasn't a scene where they were in a small, in a dark room, or in a cave or something. I thought Omega and Liana were gonna run from the tidal wave and then hide out in a cave or something. I'm like, oh my god, if that's gonna happen. But no, it doesn't, so they're fine. Unfortunately for the city, most of the city gets destroyed, but everyone gets to the top, okay, so everyone lives. But the city's destroyed, and Tech says it's going to take several rotations to fix everything, and so Hunter decides that him and the group should stay to kind of help clean up, help fix the city, they're not the ones that caused this, but they're volunteering to stay to help, and I like that because it helps show that maybe this is a place that they can stay. Maybe this is a safe haven that they can. At the very least, this could be a place where this is a base. Like, you know, if they're still gonna have to travel, they know they can come back to here if they ever need rest, or if they need a place, or if they feel like they actually can stay here. Like, and I like how, yeah, I like the idea that this was their choice. It's not like something came and attacked, destroyed the city, and they feel guilty and they have to stay. No, this is really just they're choosing to stay because this is something that no one really could have controlled. Like, you really couldn't control a gigantic tidal wave coming through and destroying the city. So yeah, but let's see what else. Yeah, that's pretty much yeah, that's pretty much all I got for this one. I mean, it's just a fine, nice little episode again, giving the Bad Batch a nice thing. Like, heck, I mean, Omega's laughs in this episode, and Tex says that he hasn't heard her laugh in a while. So it's like, it's just one of these episodes that gives a little positive. The calm before the storm, I guess, is the best way to put it. Which is ironic, because you had a gigantic tidal wave come through. But we have 3 episodes left. 2 of them are going to be released on the same day, so clearly whatever happens in the next episode is going to take things into overdrive and insanity, so we shall see what that is. But for now, fun episode, and I'm glad it's there. I'm glad it's here.